This She That Exists real talk is on high conflict divorces. So let's get some action on this and let's get some talking about this. Let's get the conversation going in the comment section and like the channel, subscribe to the channel and like the video and share the video, and let's get some conversation going about the subject matter of high conflict divorces. So high conflict divorces are dysfunctional, obviously. When people are using their children as pawns of war and as tools of war, hey, weaponized cats, this conversation that I'm trying to get people to comment on and getting people involved in real talk is about high conflict divorces and weaponizing children as pawns of war. Oh, and you're weaponized cats. And I'm talking about weaponizing children as pawns of war. So I want to share from my own life example really quick. 9 years ago, my former husband went to war on me. He used our daughter as a weapon of war against me, and he did everything he could. And his promise was that if I ever left the marriage, he was going to use every available weapon in his arsenal to wage war against me and my family, and he did. And he weaponized our daughter, and he used our daughter as a weapon of war. So high conflict divorces, it's abuse. It's abuse to the loving parent, and it's abuse to the innocent children. And then the children end up traumatized, and it end up creating intergenerational trauma. And so yeah, then you're stuck with intergenerational trauma, but yet you have the husband or wife who weaponized the children as pawns of war to hurt the other parent, and they think that they're these big winners, but they're so unconscious that they don't even know that they're harming our children intergenerationally, and they're traumatizing and destroying their own family tree and lineage intergenerationally. I've let my daughter's dad know, like, I would have never chose to co-create life with you if I knew that this is what our daughter was going to be, just a weapon in your war, a pawn of war to hurt me, and then to just leave her so heartbroken and traumatized and confused that she didn't know what to do. And then here it is 9 years later. He hasn't apologized. He hasn't changed his heart. He hasn't gotten any better mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And Weaponized Cat says it's just going to leave our children vulnerable, which is criminal. It's definitely criminal. And it's not only criminal, it's unnatural. So people have to remember, like, you had a child with this person. Don't weaponize your children as a pawn of war, because that creates trauma generationally for your family, and it confuses everybody involved. And like, is that where we're at now in our humanity? Is that children are just weapons of war? I mean, seriously, let's talk about it, because it is criminal. It's war crimes on the family tree, and doing that to innocent children. Like, think about it. Like, even as we get older, we get older and we have like traumas or hurts or past pains or things that start coming up as we get older in life. And then, but to do to a child at such a young age, or a preteen or anything else like that, like, they don't even know how to process. And I guarantee you, these parents who are weaponizing their children and using their own children as weapons of war, I guarantee you, whenever they're waging war with the other parent and just using their offspring as a pawn of war, I guarantee you that they have not gotten their the children like spiritual care or emotional care or any type of counseling. And so it's been really, really hard for me to sit back and just realize that I was left with like nothing, completely financially destroyed. My ex-husband completely financially destroyed me, because you spend a lot really fast on attorneys to protect you, and then you realize that they're not protecting you. They're not protecting your children. Nobody has the best interest of the children involved. It's all just one big money, court corruption, court trafficking scenario for trauma, 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 trauma. And then the parent that is using the child as the weapon of war, all they care about in their mind is so-called winning. What did my ex-husband tell me? He told me that I was lucky that he didn't go full court press. And I'm looking back, I'm wondering, like, full court press, like, that would have been murder. Full court press, because people can only take so much. Like, these people who are doing this, I don't like the whole thing like with the narcissist empath dynamic or whatever. I like to say sadist, because these people are not just narcissistic, they're completely sadistic. And so it's criminal, it's sadistic, unnatural. It's not why creator created life. And a conversation going about this because um my daughter I know is confused. My daughter was probably told all kinds of things wrong about me, or to where the brainwashing is real, the mind control programming is real. In my mastering consciousness education, and I'm earning my master's in consciousness right now, it's called entrainment. And if you tell somebody enough times something, that your brain is going to entrain to it. That's why even like music, lyrics, beats, it's all like a form of mind control and entrainment. And these people who are using their own children as weapons of war to weaponize them, it is a form of mind control. It's mental abuse, it's emotional abuse, it's spiritual abuse. And then, of course, it's abuse to the loving, caring, empathic parent who just loves their child with all their heart, who's like, well, what do I do? This person that I trusted to co create life with is absolutely destroying me. Like, what can I do? And then, of course, we live in a system, in a society where the attorneys, they just get all happy because they make tons of money off of the dysfunction in the family, and the fact that two parents can't get along and put their children first and to love their children enough to be conscious and consciously co-parent. I begged my daughter's dad for years to just consciously co-parent with me. Like, why can't we get along? Why can't we be friends? And that's because he had to fulfill his threat on my life. And his threat on my life was if I ever left the marriage, he'd use every available weapon in his arsenal to wage war against me and my family tree. And he did. And he delights in that. And he gets off on that. I didn't want to say it that way, but he gets off on it because he's a sadist. And that's what sadists do. They take pleasure in hurting people. So I would want to keep this really short. I didn't realize that I was at 7 minutes now. But I want to get a conversation going about this because we have children now who are over 18 who are very confused. They think that their parents abandoned them. They think that their parents didn't love them. They think that their parents didn't fight hard enough for them. But this is something that's a huge epidemic in the United States. And I think the root of it is the fact that people don't know God and people don't know God's love and they don't know pure love. And when you have two parents who do that, and then the child is just a pawn of war. It's so sad. It's collateral damage. Oh yeah, my ex-husband threatened me that too. He told me that I was just gonna be collateral damage in his war. So my intent is that my daughter sees this so that she can know the truth and know that I didn't abandon her. That I did everything I could to protect us and keep us safe, and to work with her dad and to get him to be mentally of sound mind. And her dad chose not to be of sound mind mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And he chose to do things that showed mental, emotional, and spiritual illness because God, creator, gave children a mother and father for a reason. God, creator, created life to where a child has a mom, a child has a dad, and this is how the family tree is structured. And people who are using their children as weapons of war to hurt and damage and destroy the other parent's life, it's evil. Evil is the absence of good, and there's no good in it whatsoever. So unless there are any more comments for me to read, I don't see any right now. Then I'll be back. Check out my video about dysfunctional family. And check out my real talk on healing father and mother wounds, because this is all stuff that's needed, like, for us to really, really talk about this. And anybody who wants to work with me in spiritual counseling or as a coach or as a metaphysician, just email me at SheThatExists@gmail.com. And I'm running a special right now, $60 a session, when normally my sessions are $275 an hour. And that's because I work with business owners and CEOs and founders and owners. So, but I'm doing a $60 special for anybody who wants to work with me. as a metaphysician and coach and spiritual counseling and my soulology sessions. And I think it's really good to get at the root of these things. Anyone who is interested in healing intergenerational trauma, generational wounds, mother father wounds, healing from any type of abuse in marriage, high conflict divorce. I mean, there's a lot of talk. If you could just Google or look up or even go on Facebook, I have a master's course on parental alienation, and I demystify the whole thing about parental alienation. It's $50 master's course, best investment of anybody's life. And I demystify the whole thing to where I share what's actually really going on inside the courts in the United States. But if people haven't figured it out yet, there's a lot of money when it comes to moving children around in courts. And Senator Nancy Schaefer, I don't know how long ago, but she revealed, she investigated and she exposed CPS for trafficking children through the courts for cash and selling children. And the parents who lost their children through CPS, they don't even know that their civil rights were violated, their constitutional rights were violated, and in much of these cases, they're just stealing and trafficking children for profit. So I mean, this should be general mainstream knowledge at this point. And I think it's really important that we connect to consciousness and we see what's really going on. And for parents who are weaponizing their children as weapons of war and pawns of war, what you're doing is you're miscreating. You're miscreating intergenerational trauma in your family tree through your unconsciousness. And we're either co-creating with Creator and creating good for life, and we're building something good and healthy, or we're miscreating and we're just destroying things. And that's what my daughter's dad did. He chose to destroy. And when you destroy, sometimes people can't ever rebuild, especially when it comes to a broken heart with your children. And then we can never get that time back. And so I want to have some real talk about it. And I think it's really important that we have real talk about it. So this is She That Exists, her story channel. And this is the real talk segment on using children as weapons of war in a high conflict divorce, which it's not natural, it's not God, it's not Creator, it's not love, it's not goodness. And the children lose because they lose that time with their parent. Then they don't even know that they're traumatized and they're confused and that their other parent did all these things to hurt the other parent. And sometimes people die. Let's get real about it. Sometimes people die, sometimes people commit suicide, and then they're so financially destroyed that they could never recover and end up homeless and destitute. And anyone who's doing that to their other parent and using their children as a pawn of war in that nasty way, like my ex-husband and my former husband did to me, it's evil, it's ungodly, it's unjustified, and it's despicable. So, yeah. With that being said, this is She That Exists, or She That Exists, her story channel, and as always, I'll be back as long as I'm able. If not, everybody can just replay button because if anything ever were to happen to me. But until next time, this is all. And let's get some comments going. Subscribe to the channel and like and share the video. And let's really get some comments going about this, because these subject matters that I'm sharing on this channel are so important. There's so many people silently suffering, and this is something that needs to be talked about. And I'm talking about it because for years I silently suffered inside because of what my former husband did to me and my daughter. That was just despicable and unthinkable. And I thank God every day that I'm still alive. So my daughter can reach out to me and we can have our reunification outside of people who hurt us. And that's something that a sadist will never admit. A sadist will never admit that they hurt you, and they will never admit that they did anything wrong. So if I could go back, would I change anything? No, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have my daughter today from a sadist. But I have the wisdom to share. And now that I have the wisdom to share, maybe I can help prevent, save a life, and see the red flags. so that they don't have to go through any of those things. I wish everybody was healthy mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I wish that, there weren't bad people in the world, and there weren't sadists in the world, and there weren't other people in the world who get off on hurting other people and innocent people and innocent children. But that's the world we live in. And so we need to have real talk and talk about it. This is all for now. I'll be back until next time.